Planning a long-distance trip can be challenging. It often involves a lot of research, trying to figure out where exactly you want to go, places you may want to visit, places you may want to camp or stay overnight, whatever, that sort of thing. And so that all often involves a lot of research. I've been doing this for a long time, and I still tend to research big trips before I do them. So how do you keep track of all that, especially when you start spanning multiple states? You may have multiple destinations you want to stop at, multiple places you're thinking about you might stay. How do you keep track of all that in one easy, organized place? If we're just meeting, my name is Robert Witham. I'm a longtime nomad. I'm also an author, a video creator, a podcaster, a magazine publisher, and a few other things. If you're not subscribed already and you enjoy travel-related content, you may want to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you'll be notified when I publish new content here on YouTube. I publish several new videos each week here on YouTube about the nomadic lifestyle and travel-related topics. And before we dive into today's topic, I want to mention I'm wearing my Gambler 500 shirt from the Final Frontier. That's the Wyoming and Montana event that my oldest son Jonathan organizes, and this is the weekend, as I'm recording this on the weekend, the 21st and 22nd, and that's when they're holding the big annual Gambler 500 event in the Bighorn Mountains in Wyoming. Love to have been there, but I cut out early to see some scenery and get photos for the magazine I mentioned earlier, so I'm not there this weekend. And they have new shirts this year, so I'm going to have to get a new one to go, but that's just a shout out to my son, and my youngest son Jake was there with his wife as well. My oldest son John was there with his wife, so I'm sure it was a good time. So as I was saying a little bit ago, trip planning and trying to keep track of all the places you want to visit and maybe you're going to stay can be a bit of a hassle, especially if it's a bigger trip and involving multiple states. Fortunately, there is an easy way to do that with Google Maps. So stay tuned, we're going to have demos of how this works in both the browser and the mobile app coming right up. Google Maps is a very powerful tool with an incredible number of features, many of which I think most people don't use. Heck, I know I don't use a lot of them even. It's also free, which is always nice. And I realize some people have privacy concerns with using software like this, and if that's you, this may be something you don't want to use, but, let's face it, Google, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, they're all collecting information, and I know that Google has some information from me because I use this, but I find such incredible value from it that I'm willing to use it anyways. As I said, there are a ton of incredible features in here, but in this video we're going to focus on using Google Maps to create a custom map to facilitate trip planning and to keep track of the places you want to visit or stop during your trip. And first we're going to dive into setting up a custom Google map using your laptop or desktop computer. Okay, so on the browser on my computer here, I have Google Maps open, and you can go to maps.google.com if you want to access that. And you'll see my standard stuff here, some recent locations I've looked up and some other options. What we're going to do here is get this little hamburger bar menu, and we want to go to your places with a little map pin, and then we're going to go over here to, and this will show all the recent places you've looked up, and then we're going to come over here and go to maps. And this is going to show a list of any maps that you have here. So you go down here and click Create Map, and this is going to open a new tab in your browser, and you'll have an untitled map here with, in my case, shows the United States in the center. That's my location. So now that we've created a map, first thing we're going to do is rename this by clicking on the name here, and it'll open up this box. So we'll just call this a demo map. And if you want, you can put a description in here, and so we'll just put this as a YouTube demonstration, but you can use that or not use that at your preference. So one of the first things you want to put out here is layers. It starts off with an untitled layer, which we can rename, and we'll call this campsites. And we're going to put all of our campsites into this layer, and I'm going to add another layer, and we'll call this one, we're going to name this one Destinations. And of course you can do these any way you want. This is just an easy way for us to sort these. Now you don't have to use layers, and sometimes I do, sometimes I do not. The benefit of layers is being able to sort and toggle which data you're seeing. So for now we'll leave that here, and we're going to go ahead and start adding some pins. When you do that, these are different functions. This is an undo or a redo, select items, add marker, draw a line, and add directions, and measure distance and area. So these are all different functions you can use, but to start putting some pins on or markers, we're going to click on this. You can do this two ways. You can type in coordinates or you can put in a location. So I don't have any GPS coordinates right handy, so I'll put in a stop I made when on my first night on the road here. It's let's see, Riverside Park in Douglas, Wyoming. There we go. This is going to find this, and this is actually one place I stayed my first night on this trip coming down. So we can either hit add to map here, or we can come over here and hit the plus button to add it to the map. So we're going to add that to the map. Just dropped it in destinations over here, and we're going to want to put this in campsites, so we can just click and drag this up to campsites. And now we may want to edit this, so we click on edit. It already says Riverside Park, so that's fine. I can just put Douglas if we want. This is particularly helpful if you're putting in coordinates or something. You can rename it. You can also put in here a description if you want, which you don't need to do that. But in this case, we'll say City Park, free for 2 nights, and free hot showers. That makes it a good deal, right? And on the river. I don't remember the name of the river off the top of my head, but that's okay. So we'll go ahead and save that. And so now we have that there. So if we come over here to, we can click on this again if we want to edit it at all. There's a few things more we may want to do. One thing I like to do is hit this little paint bucket, and you can change the color of the pin. So I like to use dark green for my campsites, and that way it changes to dark green. So when I'm looking at a bigger map with lots of things on it, maybe I have dozens or scores of markers, it's nice to be able to see at a glance whether it's a campsite or a place I want to stay or whatever. Another thing you can do here that's cool is you can add an image or photo. I have photos of this, but I don't have it right handy. You can drag it on or just select it from your computer. You can use an image URL, pick something out of your photos if you have them on Google Photos. So you can add a photo, and I often do that if I have one handy because it's convenient. If I'm adding a spot I want to remember where I've been, because it helps to remember what it looked like when you're there. So that's basically what we're going to do there, and we can zoom in and out as we go. So let's see, we'll add something else here. Just so we got a few markers in here so you can see how this all works. So one of the places I stopped that was pretty cool on my trip was the Colorado National Monument. Oops, extra letter in there. There we go. So we'll put in the visitor center here. That looks like a good place. We'll go ahead and leave the pin green on this one, I guess. We'll add it to the map, and let's see. Okay, we'll put some notes here in case we want to remember. When we look it up later, we may forget some things. Near Grand Junction, Colorado, $20 entrance fee. And by the way, you can get out of that if you have your pass, but I didn't when I was there. So we're just making some notes for an example. Cool canyon views. Rimrock Drive follows the canyon edge. So there we go. We got that. And again, you can add photos if you want, and we'll go ahead and leave the color as it is. So and then we'll pick. We're going to put one more place in here just for fun. So we're going to put in Pahrump, Nevada. A lot of nomads go there every winter. So we'll add this to the map, and again, we can put in. That is Pahrump. I'll say popular snowbird destination. And sometimes I'll do this too. I'll add an elevation. I think Pahrump's around 2,700 feet. And that's really helpful sometimes when you're planning, saying, gee, do I want to go up or down? Do I want to go to this spot? You can see what the elevation is relative to where you're at. And that may be hotter or colder. You may not want to go there. So that works. And because this is another destination, we can leave that blue, I guess. But you can put these in as many colors as you want. So we've got there. And we go back over here. We see Pahrump and the National Monument both got dumped into campsites. It dumps them into whichever one you've used most recently. So we're just going to drag these down here. Right, so now if we zoom way out here, we're going to see we have 3 pins on the map. This is, obviously my maps often have dozens and many dozens sometimes, but in this case I'm just making a demonstration here. So we have these 3 pins. We know at a glance that green is a campsite because we always use green for campsites in this demonstration, and blue are just destinations, so that we know that. And sometimes a little tip here, what I'll do with campsites, I'll use the forest green like this for free campsites, and if I'm thinking about staying somewhere that has a fee, I may color code it yellow or orange or red or something depending on the expense, so I can get at a glance, I can see what I'm looking at. But you can do that however you want. So we're done with this. Let's go ahead and preview this now, see what it looks like. All right, so we see over here on the side, we have our layers, campsites, Riverside Park, destinations, Colorado National Monument Visitor Center, and Pahrump, Nevada, and we see them here on the list. So a couple things we can do here I want to show. One is the layers. When we set up the layers, this is where this comes in. It's not a big deal on something like this. We have a lot of entries. This can be helpful. You can arrange these any way you want. You could arrange them by state or by type of location or however works for you, but it allows you to at a glance toggle these on and off. So we can turn off campsites and now we are only seeing destinations, or we can turn off destinations and only see campsites. So sometimes that's helpful when you have a lot of entries. So now what else we can do here, if we're in, we want to know how long it's going to take us to get to the National Monument. It does not have the GPS enabled because I'm on the laptop, but if I click on this, it's going to show the Colorado National Monument. It has our name here, it has a description we entered, and then there's some details from Google Maps here. We can just pull it up in a new map. There's photos that Google has that other people have entered, and so we click on this button here, it's going to pull us right up here to show us it, and we have our locations here. So we can put in, if we're Riverside Park, for instance, in Douglas, and we want to see how long it's going to take us to get there. This will give us the mileage and the estimated time and some suggested routes, right? It's only suggesting one right here, but you can add in destinations if you want to. For example, if I wanted to go through Denver, I can put in Denver here, and then I can move these around, and now it's going to reroute to take us through Denver. Okay, that's kind of how that works on the computer. One more thing we're going to do here while we're still in the map is you can share this. Now you may not want to do this, it may just be something you do for yourself, but you can share this publicly and put it on your website. You could put it anywhere you want to put it. You can share it with limited people by the email address. So if you wanted to share with your friends or family what your trip was planned, say down where you're going, you can hit the share button here and you get your options for how you want to share that. So all in all, a very powerful map solution that's very customizable, and this is only one feature that's in here. There's actually so many more. But for now, let's go ahead and dive into using it in the app. Okay, so looking at it in the app here, now I'm doing this on an iPhone, so it's iOS. It should be very similar on Android, but it may look just a little bit different, but the function should be very similar. I don't have an Android device convenient to demonstrate it with, though. So we're here on iOS in the Google Maps app, and so when you open it up, you can see my little blue dot here. It tells you I'm in Utah, and so the first thing we're going to do is hit our hamburger bars here again for the menu. We're going to Your Places, and then on the top here we're going to scroll over to Maps and click on Maps, and it's going to show a list of all the maps we've saved. So here's I'll show you real quickly. Here's my autumn 2019 travel. See, so but we'll go back, and we can see again it's got several different places on here. Way up here in northeast Wyoming, that's my home pin. But then it shows, I don't even know what the heart is there. I have no idea. I must have favorited something. But so it shows where I am right now with a blue dot relative to some other things. So one thing, now this on the app, it's great for using it. I actually prefer using it on the app versus on the desktop because it has the GPS enabled. It is very easy. But unfortunately, so far, I've not been able to find a way to actually create or edit the map using the app. I've also tried going to maps.google.com in the Safari browser on my phone, so I can view it all right, but in terms of trying to create or edit, it doesn't allow me to do that. So that's unfortunate. I hope some point they add that in, because I know not everybody has a laptop or desktop computer available. I don't know, you'd have to try this. If you have a tablet, you can always try it on the tablet using the browser, and it may let you do it on there, or you may be able to load the full site. Sometimes there's a menu link on the bottom to load a full site. So that might be an option for you if you need to create a map and you don't have the computer. But as far as using it, I really like doing it on the phone here. So here we are, and we, of course, we can zoom in and out at will. Okay, we're in here also. On the bottom here's a demo map and view map legend. We see that it gives us our option for where we can toggle on and off our layers again. It does sometimes, maybe unique to iOS, I don't know, but it does sometimes lose your custom map and just leaves you a blank map without your custom markers. And so sometimes that happens sometimes, and you have to go back and just grab it again. You get back through the menu to grab your custom map again. Alright, so, but this is how it looks. It's GPS enabled, so it shows your location, which is really great. And then from there, like I said, we can zoom in and out. And all you do is tap the pin for the details. So if I want to, if I'm heading north and I want to know how far to this campsite, it's going to show me, Riverside Park and Douglas, and I can just hit the directions and get it from there. Or I can, jump over here to Pahrump, and it's going to show, this on the demo map, and there's the coordinates, and it's telling me I'm, 3 hours and 42 minutes from Pahrump. It'll take me longer not to get there because I don't drive too fast. But that's really is really that simple. Once you jump into the directions, you can also change the start. It'll start by default with your location using the GPS, but you can change to something else. You can check the distances between pins or anything. So it's a very simple to use and very convenient. It's super helpful when you're planning a big trip, because you can pull it up and you can just see where you're at a glance, and then from there you can easily look and see, okay, this is my next destination, or this is where I want to go, and you can see how far it is. So I would use it on this trip. I would use this, for example, because I have like dozens and dozens of potential campsites. So anywhere I am, I can pull it up and say, okay, where's the next campsite, and how far is that? And so I can just easily look at when I'm planning. And sometimes I'll say, oh, I'm going to skip that one. It's not very far. I'll go to the one after, or whatever. Or if I get to one and it doesn't work out, I don't have to start researching from scratch for where the next place is. I can just grab the next pin marker on the map and head on down the road. So very convenient and easy to use. I find it to be super helpful because I can track so much information in here. And like I was saying, with the information, you put extra information in there. So we pull this up, it shows the map zoomed in, and it has all of our information. It's in the campsites layer, and it's a city park, free for 2 nights, 3 hot hours on the river. That's information we put in. So that's really helpful because you can log extra information when you're doing your research, and then you can be reminded of that. Otherwise, you may a month after you did the research and all these places you've been, you may look at the map and go, why on earth did I put that on there? What was the big deal about that? And so you can have some notes here to remind yourself. And you can also paste in links, hyperlinks here, so if you want to be able to keep the track of a website for a place or any information like that. So very helpful, and this is just something I find very useful, and I use this all the time now. I used it on our trip to Oregon this summer. I used it on my trip for the fall down here, and I've used it a few other times. So very useful, and like I said, you can share it with people as well, which is nice sometimes. So that's a quick overview of how to make a custom map using Google Maps, and use the markers and layers and colors and photos and notes to make a really easy to use, very detailed GPS enabled map for when you're traveling. And like I said, with the app, this works going to work on iOS or Android, so very helpful to use once you set it up. And once you do the first couple entries on the computer, it actually gets pretty fast and pretty easy to go through. But what about you? Are you using Google Maps Maps already. I'll tell you the reason I use it. I have Apple Maps on my phone, and I use that once in a while, but Google Maps has consistently been the most reliable option I've found compared to Garmin, Apple Maps, whatever. Google Maps has been pretty fantastic across the board. There are times when it tries to get me lost, and notably in Colorado and Oregon. I don't know what that's about, but for the most part, it's been very good and has been the best that I've tried. And the other thing with Google Maps where it beats Garmin or Apple Maps is that it has many of the official BLM and Forest Service roads on it, and where the others do not. And where I do a lot of time off-road, or as they say in the Gambler 500, pavement is lava. So yeah, I get off-road a lot, and so it's really helpful to have this information. Otherwise, you're using Google Maps or Garmin, and you get to and it just tells you the pavement has ended, or something equivalent, and you have to try and figure out your way from there to wherever you're going. So it's very helpful having the off-road maps as well. So are you using Google Maps already, and is this something that may be helpful to you for trip planning? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Meanwhile, please like this video if you haven't already. Consider subscribing to the channel and ringing the bell so you can be notified when I publish new content here on YouTube. Like I said, several times a week I'm putting up travel-related videos. And please consider sharing this video with your friends, or on social media, or on any travel groups you're a part of if you think other people might benefit from it. It's a really powerful feature, and I only learned how to use it recently, and when I mentioned it in a video recently, I know a lot of people were asking that I would do this video to show how it's done. So super helpful. I hope you feel like it's worth sharing, and please consider doing that if so. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video, everybody.